right, go ahead and get started for today. Thanks for being here, guys. Another Bright Investor office hours. Uh, I know, just like it's so weird. Sometimes we get like 20 people here at office hours, and other days it's like five. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's Easter weekend. Maybe who knows? Weird. But as always, I'm going to go ahead and start off with some announcements. The new version of Bright Investor went live. We have not emailed out yet because one of the because we push it live. There's always a couple things that break, so we are fixing them and we're releasing another version tonight. But the new version is live right now on the platform. So I want to go ahead and do a little kind of demo of what's new, so you guys can see it. Let me go ahead and share my screen and bring that up. But there's one large new feature that you guys should know about that we'll go ahead and highlight for y'all. Ready? Go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So here are the list of things that all got pushed with this new version. And again, you guys will get an email about it, but when I feel it's good and ready. Um, let me see here. Okay. The main upgrades, there's a bunch of tiny bug fixes that we added that you may or may not notice, but a lot of little things that were like the income not working, stuff like that. Fix a lot of those things. The biggest place that you're gonna notice is that we have probate stuff on here now. Um, on the when you create Bright reports, there's now an option to remove the Powered by Bright Investor logo and brand in Bright Investor. So if you guys have a report and you want to turn off all mentions of Bright Investor, you can. We added in on the pricing section, you can now we added more minimums and larger maximums for people, as that was an issue for some folks in California. We updated our skip tracing. We One of the other big updates as well. We'll see if this is live or being fixed tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if it's live or not. Is it live? Maybe not. Let me see if I can use the not our staging version. I think a while back I told you guys how we have two versions of Bright Investor. The version that you guys all see and the version that our developers are working on. So I want to see if I can show you guys what this looks like. See if it's live or not. Dolores, I noticed that you're back from vacation, so I'm very excited to see you. But this feature, I don't know if it's live right now. It's about to go live. I think it's about to go live. But essentially, we have added a feature now where if you zoom in on the map far enough, what will happen is that all of these little properties will have a little dot over them. And you can now simply click on that dot to pull up that property's information. So if you don't have the address, it's kind of like when you're on Zillow a little bit. Like let's say I'm in, like St. Louis or something, and I'm looking for homes and I zoom in. Oops. If I zoom in far enough on the map, eventually, right, I get this where every property I can click on. You can now do this in Bright Investor, essentially. You can go ahead and zoom in and click on properties. So that's going live. The other things that are live as well, the large things are you're going to notice in the rent comps. So let me just go ahead and find a property here, for example. It's a lot of properties. 10,000 properties gives you such a crick in the neck. All right. So when you're looking at this, the newest thing is on the rent comps. You can now filter rent comps by distance. And we have released, this is the biggest new feature. We have released the brand new rent comp report. So previously it was a copy of Rentometer. Now we've completely redesigned this. So rent reports now look a lot like Bright reports. Rent reports are now completely brandable, complete with your branding and your colors and logo. And now you can create a report that just does rent comps. So it does the entire analysis. It has all the rent comps, lists them out by property, and then also includes the rent growth for that zip code and the rent histogram for that zip code. So it's a brand new report you can generate that is also interactive. So if you're filtering right by these things, you're saying, hey, I'm interested in, oh, I want to turn off this comp. I want to turn off, oh, I don't know, I want to turn off, let me see here, this comp. We can turn on and turn off comps and adjust our valuations here all in this one place. So you have a new kind of report you can generate and use for properties is the rent report. It's brandable, it's interactive, it's good to go. We also added now a square foot valuation. So what this will do is take the average rent and take the median rent. Then we take the average price per square foot for all of the comps and multiply that by this property square footage to give you a price per square foot rental. So our average is 1239, our median is 1200. Based on all the different comps here, we're at about 1160 is our the average price per square foot on a rental. So we added that in, but that's the brand new product that we have released for you guys here.
Question.
Rich.
Yeah. Uh, so these all say you can set them up for like a half a mile, within a half
Yeah,
mile or a mile. And then when you
yeah.
knock them out, can we get them to disappear?
Can you get them to disappear
Yeah. Say
from?
you
So
want to
if
knock
you,
out 15 of them to get them off the
yeah,
page,
so if you turn off like 10 or 15 of these,
right?
when you generate the rent comp report, they will show up turned off.
Oh, okay.
We eventually will add the ability for you to just delete them so they aren't there at all. But we're not quite there yet.
Bless you.
But thank you. This is the newest product that just came out. Um, the other, yeah, that's a new, plus a bunch of tiny little bug fixes that have been frustrating me forever. Um,
Denata, really quick, one other question about that on the
yeah,
on the rent report. Will you have the ability to filter the, like, say for example the square feet, like you know how you have the ability to filter it to say within plus or minus, however many uh within, what is it, like plus or minus 5% of like the square footage or something like that. So say if it's like 1,000 square foot property, um, like I know you can like sort them right now, but like will there be
yeah,
like the possibility for a filter to be able to kind of just filter in and out and say, okay, I know it's going to be roughly close to, X, Y, and Z. So if I filter it or keep it to within a mile and then filter it to properties that are only um, within about 10% of the target. So like, up to 1,100 or as low as 900. So it would like
yeah,
automatically filter out that bottom one there.
yeah. So eventually the answer is yes. That's just another thing that we'll add on here. But yeah, so we're going to give you the ability to keep filtering more and more.
Okay.
The things that are this is all what's new. This is all what's here. The search history is going live here as well too very soon. As a reminder, what search history is when you're looking for properties in BrightInvestor and you type in like 123 Main Street, it will remember all the more recent properties that you looked up and just say, hey, did you mean to search this? Just like a little convenience thing. Um, as a reminder of where we are going, the next major things we're releasing are the mobile friendly reports. So we're changing the way the reports show up on your phones to be a lot more mobile friendly, making it where, it's kind of more scrollable, much more interactive, kind of like you're playing a game on your phone. Bird Calculator and Fix and Flip Hard Money are finally going live after months of testing. The CRM integrations, being able to connect Bright Investor to your CRMs, and then the Bright Investor widget are where we are going next with what's coming up. Let's see here. Let's see here. So that is what's new. Plus a bunch of back end stuff that I won't bore you guys with. Just a bunch of upgrades to make it smoother and faster. Things of that nature. Oh, that also. So when you go in your listen report section in BrightInvestor, Now, when you go to look at other reports you've made in the past, there'll be a section here for your property reports, which is right here. And then there'll be a separate section for all of the rent reports you ever made as well. So just like property reports, right, you can say, hey, here's all the property reports, here's all the rent reports I've made. So those are also things you can pull back and get access to. So that is new. Um, yeah, it's got a bunch of more. We are currently tracking another 34 upgrades we are making over the next couple of months. New features, approximately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are like new features or data types. The other 24 are more like upgrades or like improvements or just things of that nature. Let's see here. Just want to go ahead and announce those things for you so you knew what was coming out. And I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen and
Donato,
open the floor up.
can you
Yeah.
can you promise us you're not going to be selling this company and disappearing?
Like ever?
Raise
Or
your
like
right hand.
for the next 5 years? Um, okay. I'll be honest. I don't want to sell BrightInvestor. It's too valuable. Do I have a Saudi Arabian fund that's raising $1 billion looking into me right now? Yes, I do.
Are you
Uh,
serious?
yes. I've met
Wow.
a lot of people, guys. I met the CEO of EXP Realty, the CEO of Next Home. You guys know Haas Pratt at all? Met him today. Wants to partner with us and bring us to his entire agent training program. He's trained over 200,000 agents. He wants BrightInvestor to be part of his offer, train people. We
Sheesh.
we have two mentorship groups of 150 to 200 real estate mentorship like students that want a white label BrightInvestor for their entire programs. Um, we're growing now in a way that they didn't expect. And so people like that BrightInvestor is a product that keeps getting better and it's already built. But I don't really want to sell something off to Saudis that I don't know. And I don't know if I want to take their money. Um, we're doing everything we can to pretty much just grow it ourselves and keep making it bigger and bigger. Someday, if Zillow or CoStar Group or McCarthy Capital or RealPage says, Dono will buy you for $500 million, gonna be real hard for me to say no. But
You can't do for anything less than 10 digits, man.
So
Nothing for less
so
10
than
can we
10
digits
start
only.
digits.
investing now? Can we start investing now and buying shares?
Yeah, seriously.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Actually, that's funny. The last two times that we raised money, which is over a year ago, the last two people we let invest in the company were users. They sent me an
Nice.
email and said, Donato, can I get in on this? And we said, sure. So actually there is a precedent, which is what I prefer, right? It's like, okay, if I'm gonna work with anybody, I'd rather be someone who's been here for the journey and seen it work, which is fun. So
Yeah, I'd
I
love
don't
to
plan
join
to
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't plan to sell for a while. I want BrightInvestor to be as kind of like harmonious as the kind of the Zillow or the kind of the co-star for residential markets is the plan. Um, so no, I'm not going anywhere for a while. It's especially because we built BrightInvestor in like a downturn of a market in real estate, and we are just so well positioned to add a lot of value as things get better and better, and be the solution
Absolutely.
of people are like, wow, this is awesome. How do I do this? So, um, Don, I got a question for you. Are you planning for land and commercial properties comps? Eventually, yes. So that's a big line to cross. So there's a company called Land Pro, Land something. They're kind of like a prop stream, but just for raw land. That's all they do. And then there's companies like Reonomy and CoStar, which all they do is like commercial stuff. So we can absolutely go the direction and eventually, like long-term plan, would we bring on more land data, bring on commercial data? Yes. Right. At that point, am I directly competing with like CoStar Group? Yes, 100%. So absolutely is the long-term plan is to keep bringing in more of that kind of key data types. Like eventually, I'd love to get access to cap rates, right, and do cap rates across the entire U.S. for commercial real estate. I love to be able to do more things like incoming projects. Eventually, we'll do some more climate and flood data. right? There's some things of that nature which will roll in. But it takes time, and that data, it part of it is very cost prohibitive. I mean, data like that can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to license and put on a platform, which is doable, but not now, but eventually it can be done. So the answer is yes, but I can't promise you that it's in the short term at all. Let's see here. And Rich, I appreciate the vote of confidence too in BI. We're gonna keep rolling out more stuff, new things, and hopefully you start seeing us more and more places out in the world that you can go, hey, I know those guys. I know that company. I knew them before they were cool. Which would be fun.
Well, I think you're pretty cool now, but you know.
Oh, I tip my hat to you, sir. Thank you. It's been a really cool journey. Year two on the market was just last month, which is very, very fun. So it's happy to we're still here, still alive, still kicking. Oh, let's see here. I had a one user request for us to talk about midterm rentals today. So I was going to go ahead and pop open BrightInvestor and talk a little bit about MTRs, which I will go ahead and do now. Now, as those of you very well know, short-term rental market and the midterm rental market have seen a lot of volatility, where a lot of large short-term rental investors have seen pullbacks in their investments, have been selling off properties and seeing more vacancy, less bookings, lower dollar per night. And the markets have shifted more towards those higher end kind of components, and supply has been an issue with too much of it. So we've seen a lot of prominent Airbnb investors kind of shift towards co-living or MTRs, especially because of the regulations some cities roll out on rentals that are less than 30 days, or and other commercial tax implications there can now be for or permitting or licensing that they're charging short-term rentals. Midterms are a very attractive strategy for a lot of people in that space. So what we want to do in a midterm rental space, right, is ensure we know who our target demographic is. And the easy website to reference for this is a platform like Furnish Finder. But let's say I'm going to do a midterm rental in Huntsville, right? The most important thing that we can look at when it comes to our midterm rentals here is a lot of stuff that comes to the area. So, or in jobs. So, like if I'm looking at Huntsville, Alabama, look at that job growth, right? 24.5% over the last several years, which is absolutely crazy. And the biggest growth in their marketplace is in the manufacturing, professional business services, and mining and logging construction, which is awesome to me because I can think of, if I'm going to have a midterm rental, who am I going to rent to? Local laborers and construction companies. It's not very well known, but some people make a killing working with contractors and GCs, and they say, how much is it going to cost you? You're doing a $5 million bridge project, right? How much will it cost you to house 40 guys for the next 6 months in a hotel? Oh, it's going to cost us $90 a night times 50 guys, right? That's what, $4,500 a night for 6 months, right? So over the course of a month, they're paying, 45,000, what was that? 45,000 times three, which is 135,000, which is like almost 800 grand, 900 grand over 6 months. If you can come to them and say, hey, look, I've got 5 properties that I can rent by the room or bedroom that I can rent to you for a flat rate of 30 grand a month, you just save them potentially $700,000. So when I see construction growth, I absolutely think of that as a possibility. Same with my health services for the very common travel nurse component and the other things of that nature. Now, on the ground, it's especially important for us to be able to look at things like convenience, which is why I really harp on franchises when it comes to midterm rentals, especially for things like how close is it to local Starbucks and things like Chick-fil-A and our Targets, all things that are high convenience, things that people are going to be visiting day to day. Closer proximity we can get to these, the more successful we're going to be overall. So I like to make sure that we're in close proximity to these. Same with our businesses. So I really, really highly recommend that we look at where are the hospitals or medical centers in an area. and where our grocery stores and where our cafes, because it's just a very, very homey kind of convenient, walkable place to be. And when we add those as our layers and pop those on, start to get a very good idea of, okay, anywhere, if I buy a property in West Huntsville in this region, I'm super close to medical, Chick-fil-A, Starbucks. Like this region is very close and essentially located. This region is very close and centrally located. This area is very close and centrally located. So I can start dropping my sticky notes as areas that I might be interested in buying houses because I know they're very close to all these different spots that I'm interested in. Same as like right here.
Where do you get sticky notes from?
Right. You can either click them, you can
Oh,
right click and hit add sticky note,
oh,
and then you
cool.
can add little notes
Nice.
and do those. And then you can change the color. So if you want to take notes or something, and then if you want to, you can turn them off, you can turn them on. So I look at that and say, okay, these are areas I might want a midterm rental in. And so what I'll do is I'll turn off those and I'll turn off my layers and say, great, where do I want to buy again? Right there. Okay, great. So I'm going to come down here and say, show me properties that are in this tight little area, this tight little area that make money. And what I'm gonna do is pop over to my good friends at Furnish Finder, get an idea of what those things are running for these days. Where are we at? We're in Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville. I tried to get their data. They didn't give it to me. It's annoying. I'll get it someday. I'm not gonna give up.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is there a way to be able to like
Yeah, I tried.
pull that in?
I tried.
Okay.
Yeah, they said no. I'll get them at some point. I'll get them. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, I know, right? I hate their website. It is a horrible website. I don't understand how they get away with this. It's ridiculous. Um, but I can see that in this area that I want to buy, which is right here, right? I know that there are three twos going for 2,400, three twos going for 3,000. I see another 3-2, 2,500. So I know pretty confidently a three-bedroom, two bath can rent for 24 to $3,000. Awesome. Show me a, well, let's just do on market. Let's do on market this time. Show me a three-bedroom, two bath property that I can buy that's currently listed for sale on market. We got five. Okay. And let's take a look at this one. This guy lives there. It's an owner-occupant situation. He lives in the property. He bought it just a couple of years ago, and he's already selling it, which is weird. I kind of want to see what he did to it. Did he renovate it? Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, that's an updated kitchen right there. That looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely renovated. Yes, this guy kind of must have a slow flip. Yeah, completely renovated. So I might say, hey, I mean, it's listed on market, so we don't want to call him directly, but we could. You can get his phone number right there. And I look at his portfolio and get an idea if this is a repeat business kind of guy or not. Looks like he doesn't own anything else. Okay, that's weird. Our long-term rent comps are telling us about 1,800. So I'm getting about a 40 to 50% premium on a midterm rental. So I'm going to come here and take a look at our midterm rental calculator and say, look at that. I nailed it. So even though we don't get Furnish Finder directly, we have an algorithm that estimates the property's midterm rental numbers based off all the data we've collected. And our algorithm estimated this property's MTR to be a 2,500, which is exactly what I just saw going to Furnish Finder. You guys all saw it. So that worked beautifully, which is I love to see it.
Yeah, but he's selling it for 475.
Yeah. So even if you were to buy it for 475 and you spent 15K furnishing and prepping it, put 20% down, not even accounting for your insurance here, and you had all these costs, you aren't making money. It's a horrible deal. Even if you zero out repairs and vacancy and capex, it's still a horrible deal, right? You would need to buy this thing for closer to
50.
300 grand, not even 200 grand to make any money. Yeah, it's just
Well, you
not
got
going
to
to
put a
work.
lot more down than 20%. What are the two?
Or a lot more money that, yeah. So it's a lot of cash because your expenses are just so high when it comes to your mortgage and what you're having to pay. So like no wonder it's not a good rental right there. So I might go off market and say, hey, what is the well, good thing for us to know is what is this area running in terms of costs right now and appreciation. And this area's median home price is way high. Yeah, 600 grand. So it's a very expensive area. I don't like that. What about let's look for a cheaper area. Let's look for a cheaper area. I don't want to spend that much money because it doesn't cash flow. We need somewhere it's a little bit less expensive. So let's find out where that is in Huntsville. That's better. 377. That's better. 280. I like that. 190. I like that. 234. I like that. Now, where are my good spots again? There we are. These are the 4 spots we want to be. Okay. Okay. Now we're cooking. I like this section a lot more. All right. So we're going to look over here. And we're going to come up to here. And I want to go ahead and look in this area and say, show me some on market 3-bedroom, 2 bath. I'm going to see if I can find one that actually cash flows. And I don't want to spend more than 300 grand. Okay, we got 3. That works. What do you got, BI? Show it to me. Okay, we got a couple. Let's take a look at where do I want to go again? I'm gonna look at this one first. Okay, she bought it for 30 grand back in 2017. Yeesh, did she flip it? Oh, that's new
Oh,
concrete. Yeah, let's look at that siding, looks good. Yeah, new paint, new light fixtures, brand new kitchen. So this same property was 600 grand, one zip code over. The same square footage and same bedroom and same bath. And here it's 260. It's also updated. This is turnkey, ready to rock. I don't know what that is. Is that a torture chamber? What the heck is that? That's odd. I mean, that's definitely the timeout room if I've ever
oh,
seen
maybe
one.
maybe they use it to hang their clothes.
Yeah, I was gonna say a clothes
Yeah,
hanger.
yep. So when I look at my furnish finder over here, which is over here, get an idea. God, their website's terrible. Okay, I'm getting closer to 2,500. Yeah, 2,500, 2,000, 2,500. Yeah, so still around that. It's still around that range. Okay. So it's updated. I like it a lot. I go to my analyzer, right? It's been in the market for 9 days. Go to my MTR. And if I say this thing's gonna make 2K a month, okay. Yeah, hold on. We're a lot closer. We're a lot closer. I zero out my repairs, vacancy, and capex for making some money. Don't might want to do that though. And if I can get her down to say, I don't know, let's find out, 225. We can break even. If we can push rents to 2,400, get a little bit of cash flow. It's all right, not too bad. We're starting to make a little money. My long-term rents over here are only about 1,500. And so I'll be cash flow negative. Wait, oh wait, hold on. 259,500. Yeah, I'll be cash flow negative on I'll make $1 a month.
Oh,
Me
you won't be
last a
paying
dollar.
taxes.
Yeah. Oh, hey, my insurance, yeah. So overall, that's how we'd want to run our numbers as a MTR, get an idea of where it makes sense. But don't think that MTR saves all problems, right? For your kind of rentals. You want to be in those areas that make the most sense. And I'll break down a little bit about what the MTR calculator does. So what this does is it's going to account for higher repairs, higher vacancy in your analysis. It's also going to have a higher furnish and prep cost. So we do a per square foot analysis of how much it's going to cost you to put in like beds and towels and all the furnishing you have to do for MTR. Then we factor in that our algorithm for paying electric and gas here. We do set the restocking and other expenses and monthly landscaping to 0, just in case the person has something else they want to do. But we also set the management to 0 in case you're going to be managing it yourself. And we set other income to 0 in case you don't plan to charge cleaning fees. A lot of people do, but that's completely up to you. So that's how this works on the calculation standpoint. So let's say you have someone charging a 15% management fee, but you're going to make an additional $200 or I don't know, $300 a month in cleaning fees, charging people. But you're going to spend $50 a month restocking the water bottles and the graham crackers you put in the cabinet for the kids that come through, and your insurance is still going to be 2,500. Or what's my insurance estimate here?
For the midterm rentals, you're going to buy them that stuff?
Yeah, it's very common in midterm rentals for um uh
I mean, if
some stuff. Yeah,
you rent
it's
this
not
to
as
three construction workers, I mean,
yeah. So it's not as common as like an Airbnb where you have everything out there, but like a midterm rental is still gonna have like sheets or like, hey, we got a hole in the sheets, got to replace that, or hey, I've got a pill that has to be replaced, or they knocked over a plant, or like there's all these things that you're gonna have to restock and just like pay for to fix. Um, Plus, like some people choose to kind of go overboard in what they furnish. Because like, remember, midterm rental is furnishing, so that means if I click on a rental like this, right? I can look at this and say, okay, what does it include? It includes a dishwasher. It includes we'll see here. See, it includes a TV, right? It includes cleaning products for the bathroom. Those are things you have to restock, right? Those are all items that we'd have to take care of when it comes to paying for it on a monthly basis. You don't have to factor those into your analysis, but I would prefer to. Some people will provide things like pots and pans, right? Or you're going to provide things like kitchen furnishings. So I don't like this one. Let's take a look see here. What do they include? They include a hair dryer. Someone breaks that, you got to pay for it, right? So there's kitchen essentials. They provide all the kitchenware and bathware and linens, right? Someone breaks a pan, you got to pay for that. That's a restocking fee. All of this stuff they have in the walls that breaks, that's a restocking cost, right? That rug goes missing, if the anything, right? All those things have to get replaced. That chair gets broken, that's a restocking fee, right? Things of that nature. So kind of put that in here. So if you want to go ahead and kick a little bit of cash every month to what you're trying to work on, you could do so. Let's see here. See some questions here. Chester, is there a ceiling for MTR due to population? Not as much due to population because MTRs are typically pull from populations of other markets through the traveling component of it. But there is still a supply component there for sure. See, yeah. So that's kind of how the MTR space works here and how we run those numbers and how we analyze here on BI. It's gonna freak out on me now.
Are
There it is.
Is there a way for like, and again, like, and I know a couple of additional projects like that I put in the chat, like especially with the one that's been going on for like the last 3 or 4 years. It's still kind of ongoing. That massive widening of the Hampton Roads Bridge tunnel that's over right outside of Norfolk, where the Norfolk Naval Station and everything is. Um, so for like big super projects like that, is there a way, and this might be, I don't want to call it like AI, but like really more kind of intelligence based in terms of like the locale, like literally after looking at the Huntsville area, like how we saw the one zip code that had the $500,000 houses. And then
Yeah,
outside of that one on the west side, or just to the west of it, I think there was like a freeway or something. There was the houses that were in that sort of $300,000 range, even though
yep,
the two were like literally turnkey that we looked at sort of back to back. Um,
yep.
is there a way, because I did a quick Google search and kind of looking, trying to figure out like, so why is one half a million on one side and the others are like half of that price? So it looks like there's the Marshall Space Flight Center and something that the FBI owns or hosts called Redstone Arsenal. No idea what that is, but I'm guessing that those would be facilities that are sort of driving up that value, similar to like how here in Maryland, the NSA is up in Fort Meade, and those houses are literally like 25, 30% higher than the zip code that's like right outside of that area. So long question, I mean, long sort of lead up, but given the background of, is there some sort of way that Bright Investor can sort of almost kind of build in either some sort of like intelligence or something like that based on like when you had shown like, hey, here are all of the, you know, possible candidates, for lack of a better phrase, for the best sort of like midterm rentals. And again, like I know with project-based stuff, it's gonna, you know, change from time to time, but like with the bigger stuff, is that like a possibility of saying like, hey, for Huntsville, there's a likelihood or a better likelihood that you'll have um, you know, white collar professionals, you know, thinking again like the FBI and the Space Flight Center. So, you know, you would want to tailor a midterm rental towards those types of clients versus, you know, like with the super mega tunneling project, you know, they're probably not going to need office space or stuff like that in a midterm rental. You know, you kind of see where I'm going with that.
Yeah. Um, maybe that
I
would
know it's a
be
I know it's a bit
a
of an ask.
yeah. I mean, it's something I can look into on how that could work. Um, for way down the road. Um, but I can look into it or something like it. We talked at one point about doing a news scraper to allow people to basically see what kind of news or construction or like relevant topics are changing in any given
Yeah.
market. We talked about doing something like that. So like you could say what's happening in San Antonio. You go, oh, this project's happening over here. These people just announced a new headquarters here. The job just hit here. Uh, we might revisit that in the future, maybe. Um, we'll think about it. It's something that we shelved for now. But that's probably the thing that I would point to is like our solution for that. Like, oh, here's everything happening in the market you're interested in.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that's definitely something I do, especially for Detroit, is, you know, at least once a
Yeah,
week, maybe every couple of weeks, definitely looking at the Detroit Free Press to see what's going on.
for sure. Oh, absolutely. Let's see here.
I had a question
Oh,
about the mid.
yeah,
So is there a way to know how the occupancy per month or per year i- in some
yeah.
way?
So it's occupancy is a little bit weirder for midterm rentals. So when it comes to short-term rentals, we, we pre-bake into the calculators the average occupancy, which is about 55%, for about 50% across the board overall. Midterm rentals are usually around the same, about 55%, maybe 60%. But it varies so much. So much. I have some people who are 90% occupied the whole year, some who are 30%. It can be exceptionally seasonal, depending on the why people are coming to your MTR or not. So when it comes to MTRs, I would look at it from a standpoint of because the fact that MTR is kind of by nature, 30-day or longer stays, right? You're having situations where you could go one client for 3 months and then vacant for 3 weeks and then another client for 2 months. And then it's very common for MTRs to have people who are new for a whole year. Like I've got a woman who does MTR. She's been renting the same spot for like 18 months now, uh, which is nice. So that she just keeps re-upping. So that's very possible. They extend contracts. I would probably the calculator that we have factors in like a 10% vacancy, 11% vacancy. So it's like 90% occupied building, which over the course of a year, right, means that you haven't filled 11 months out of 12. That might be too aggressive for folks in here. So if you want to be a bit more conservative, I would ratchet that down to maybe it's it's really tough because the nature of MTRs is not tourism.
Right.
People don't do MTRs for tourism. It's not one night stops. It's not 2 week things. They're there for an extended period of time for family, for work, which automatically declines your vacancy overall. So if it were me, I'd be running MTRs closer to like the 70 to 80% occupied over the course of a year to feel a bit more comfortable about it. Um, yeah, so like typically people who are coming in for MTRs, they have contracts. They're contract workers of some level. And they know they're going to be here. Like, oh, I got a 6 month gig, I got a 4 month gig, I got these things that I have to be here for, and then the MTR is relevant to that. So the best MTR folks I know create relationships with the kind of top employers of those gig workers in order to make themselves a preferred housing choice for folks who come through and say, oh yeah, this is Paulina. She's housed 4 of our employees before. She's great. Go ahead and rent from her. That's how they decrease their vacancy overall.
Mhm. Yeah, I was just curious to see if there's would be a demand or not. Mhm.
Yeah. It's kind of impromptu ways you can look on, different furnish finders and see how many nights these things booked out. Another good thing you can do on Airbnb too is see how many nights is something booked out over the next couple of months and get an idea of like I just did that the other day for someone who's looking at an Airbnb and I counted how many nights were booked over the next 3 months. And month one was like 60%, month two was 52%, and month three was like 55%. I'm like, oh wow. So it was like perfectly like 56% average, for the Airbnb. Like there you go. So there's something like that.
Okay.
But at MTR, you're not going to have those like intermittent 1 day vacancies. You're going to have like, oh, I'm booked for 6 months straight, and then I'm vacant for a month or 6 weeks or 2 months to get the next person in. You have greater spans of occupancy and also greater spans of vacancy usually.
Sure. Mhm. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let me see what else I got going on. Going on. One, two. No, I don't think so. I don't think we have anything else. Just moving and shaking here. Um, I'm gonna put a quick poll here. Is anybody planning to be here for office hours this weekend, as it is Easter weekend, or should we cancel that meeting?
I can't make it.
I
I
can't
I
make
can't.
thought so.
Me
I
neither.
had thought so. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, yeah, I had a feeling. We're probably going to cancel then. We're probably going to cancel office hours for the Saturday because I realized it's a holiday this weekend. So we'll probably pick up again next week as a heads up for folks who are here. Um, I think that's everything I got for you guys tonight. Is there any other questions?
I have another
And
question. I'm trying to look
yeah,
for this, and it doesn't seem to be working.
for
It,
where?
it I was trying to look for an address. Now it work, but it depends which apartment I think I pick. I can.
Interesting.
Mhm. So it's I have the address if you want.
Yeah,
Of that I got one. So I got it's 1132 West Adams Street in Chicago. I got
1132 West Adams Street in Chicago.
so this
Okay.
one, but I don't have any information. And then there's several apartments here, and so I was trying to, I don't remember which one was trying to.
Oh, it's like this. This building.
Yes.
Okay. See what we
Oh,
got here. So
but
it's condos. Okay.
yes, which one you pick, sometimes it shows and sometimes it doesn't, or it takes me somewhere
Okay.
else.
Okay, that is, I'll take a look at that. 1132 on Dean LLC. Condo. So like what if I do 1132? What happens if I do 11? Can I do 1132 West Adams Street of part? Can I do that? Apartment 3? Aha! Apartment 3. Will that change it? It did. 1132 West Adams Street, Unit 3. Unit 3. There we go. Okay. And oh, look at that. See, now I can see the owner of that unit. Ha. Okay. There you go.
Put in 1130, and it takes me to 1130 West Monroe Street.
1130 West Adams Street. Adams Street. 1130 West Monroe Street. Okay. Yeah, this is something that Chester pointed out at our last meeting. And we know what caused it, and it's in the new version that's being so we should be able to get that out. So 1130 West Monroe Street versus 1130 West Adams Street. Okay. All right. I will check that out for you tonight.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Let's see here. What else is going on? That's what I got here.
Not a really one quick question. I know, goodness gracious, it was what about, oh wow, 2 months ago now, when we had the one rental at a time meetup
Oh yeah.
with Hemlane. I know you had said you touched base with Dana. Has anything come of that? More just curious than anything, if in case there's like, I don't know, like either API or if there's like sort of like a integration or something like that kind of in the works.
Yeah, so we did connect. I met with her at the St. Louis Real Estate Conference. It just happened recently. We are working on some things together.
Nice.
Absolutely correct. So we are working on a couple things there. We will hopefully get some collaboration and some partnerships here as well. And as a reminder, the plan is in the next month or so to have BrightInvestor connect to Zapier. So Zapier is what we use to talk to a bunch of different apps. So ideally, you'll be able to send BI to, if you have a Hemlane as your property management company, you can send properties, ideally that direction.
Wow, that'll be powerful.
Yeah. So we got a lot of things that are rocking and rolling, is the plan. So yeah, Dana's great. She was a very, very nice woman, and she has been very valuable in asking questions and learning more about the people who are further along the prop tech space than we are.
Okay. Yeah, that'll definitely be cool. Yeah. It's like I was thinking just like there's a way to like seamlessly make that entire process, like if you want to have it, you know, for lack of a better phrase, almost completely automated end to end from like finding properties here in Bright Investor, getting in touch with, lender, agent, even handyman, things like that somehow, finding a type of strategy and then just literally seamlessly walking step by step, not really hand holding, but just really getting as guided or as customized as possible. Like this is where like that powered like it's sort of like seeing those connection points. That's where I'm thinking like this can like really really shine, like those
Right.
pain points of like you found everything. Now what in terms of like a property manager, oh, don't have to worry about that. We'll simply be able to connect you with like a hen lane or a few other like things like that. So yeah, it'll make it basically a one-stop shop.
Right. Yep. I agree. That's what we're trying to be. We're trying to become. We want Bright Investor to be something you can constantly work from every day and continue to improve the platform to the point where like, right, I want it to be exceptionally useful while you're using it, but I also want it to be useful when you're not using it. So I am going the direction of making Bright Investor valuable to people even when they're not logged in. So that's things like the widget, that's things like the CRM integration, where like you can just take things and send it. Eventually, there'll be things like market reports or other automations that allow BI to just kind of serve people even when they're not logged in on a daily basis. So we're going that direction of connecting and being more of a central kind of figure in the space.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, that would definitely be super duper powerful. And so now it makes sense, like when you were mentioning the the Saudi oil investor or whomever, like it's like now it's starting to make sense why, it's gaining so much interest, worldwide. We were hoping to try to keep it a secret, we were trying to keep
Yeah.
it the best kept secret, but cat's starting to get out of the bag.
Just a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. So we met some people who they're raising $1 billion fund and they're looking for recommendations for investments to go into. And this wealth manager and I got connected, and he recommended us to the US rep for that fund. And he's making a formal recommendation for them to work with us. And I don't even know if I'm going to accept it or not yet, but
We got to get in. I'm in. I'll write you
Yeah,
a check
yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah. Tell me how I can
all right, Rich.
invest.
Jesse, in too? We'll go
Yeah,
offline and
Yeah.
talk about this.
Yeah, me
yeah,
too.
Like
absolutely.
We don't need to buy
you can
properties.
yeah, you can shoot me an email. You want to talk? Shoot me an email. We'll get you in. We'll see if we can make it happen. Um, but it's something where I still kind of want us to be a little bit of a secret of like I'm always in that kind of perfection mode of like how do I make sure that we are something that's really useful. I do see Bright Investor go in the way of a kind of go high level where because we now offer white labeling to businesses and enterprise folks, people using us and white labeling it and connecting it with other platforms, which is what we're
What,
really excited about.
what is white
Um,
labeling?
White labeling is when you can put your like brand or your logo on someone else's product and basically kind of like not
Almost a
pass it off as
repackaging.
well, yeah, like repackage it. So like you guys know what Bright Investor looks like. This is a company that is a property management company, and they wanted to white label Bright Investor. So when their people log into Bright Investor, it doesn't say Bright Investor, it says Key Renter Property Management, and it has their colors on it. And when they go around and they look at and they create reports, it says Key Renter on it. And so folks like using this, like businesses like being able to white label Bright Investor and put it and make it a part of like, hey guys, maybe I have a team with 20 agents on it. And like, hey guys, I want you guys to have access to this tool to help you do your business. And we're gonna make it a team exclusive that you get by being here as an agent. So we put our colors on it and our logo on it to add a level of exclusivity and value.
So interestingly, as you were mentioning about high level, I'm actually working with a team that is doing like affiliate reviews and stuff like that. And ironically enough, that was one of the ones that I had selected and had done a really thorough review of everything for high level. And so when uh I can't remember who it was who had mentioned it when they were here last week, but when we were talking about the API integrations and they'd mentioned high level, I'd wanted to say something, but yeah, like now that I'm like familiar with high level, it's like it's pretty clear in sort of understanding like the amount of stuff that it can do to be able to have an API to be able to connect high level to Bright Investor. Like there's so much like just like you literally can just like do all of your marketing, your sales, and every like thing like that from within high level, and then on the back end if you need to do like any sort of research, things like that, of like, hey, tell me more about XYZ, sending out the Bright report, sending out the rent report, stuff like that. So it like it's super duper powerful and like not trying to go too far down into the weeds, but like yeah, it's definitely you can definitely see those cases where when you start connecting to some of these CRM platforms, you can start to see
Yeah.
where that power really shines.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we'll be connecting to Go High Level here um very soon with our CRM integration is a plan. So um we got some fun stuff cooking. We're gonna keep rolling it out.
No, the one thing you gotta remember, if you bring in these big investors, they're gonna
I
try to
probably
take,
won't.
they're gonna try to take it over
Yeah, which is why I don't really want to take any of their
and push it to the
money.
curb. That's what they do.
Yeah, I'm not so cool with that. I heard some not shocking stories, but interesting stories recently of there were some large acquisitions announced recently, not the ones you guys are thinking about, but other ones that I was tracking. And I found out from a friend of a friend that the founders who had raised tens of millions, maybe closer to $100 million over like 15 years of building, when the company sold, uh, the founders walked away with nothing. And now
What?
they're back to working as a day job for the company that acquired them
Yeah.
because the VCs took it all. What I didn't know is the strategy they'll use. No problem, Jason. Is that sometimes what they'll do is they'll say, "Look, we're going to give you this money, but you have to hit this number of revenue and this number of like metrics within this time period." And new founders will sometimes say yes without recognizing that those numbers are unrealistic. And what the VCs will do is set unrealistic numbers so that you fail, which, according to their term sheets, can allow them to take over control of the company and basically wash you out and be able to sell it for maybe they invest for 5% of the company, but they can end up with 50 or 60 or 70% by kind of hostile takeover.
Yeah.
So
So that's
I
like a
heard that,
poison pill.
yes, it is. So I heard that there were, from that founder, I heard that there were tears involved, that he was calling around asking for anybody to, if they could help him. Not a great look, not a great feeling. So I'm very, very, very hesitant to take like more institutional money. I much rather work with friends and family and BI people if I'm going to work with anybody. And because I just I'm not wired that way. I'm just not like I just can't do that. So I I completely agree, Rich. And so it's not it's always nice to be wanted. It's nice to see people's
Yep.
interests. It's nice to see people do these things, which is great. But ultimately, this is a great story. If you guys stay
And
on
can
a
you
couple more minutes,
trademark all your stuff? Can you trade this? Can you trademark it?
yeah. So we have legal protections for a lot of our stuff, and we're doing more. So like our
Nice.
code base, our stuff. So yeah, we
Yeah.
have protections there. There was a company. Um, there was what's it called? Uh, what was it called? Okay, J.P. Morgan Chase
Mhm.
tried to create a company a while back that was very similar to BrightInvestor. It not very similar. It was like kind of market research, deal analysis. That why are all these people joining now? It's their time set to an hour late. I see. Okay. Um, but there are these they tried to create a company that was similar to BI in terms of like market research, kind of looking for properties, kind of in the same vein, but not quite. Um, and they spent a couple of years trying to build it. They went to a bunch of big real estate influencers to promote it. Guess how much they spent trying to build that kind of platform? As a huge bank with tons of money, guess how much they tried to spend? They did spend.
I would say either 5 or 10 million.
Okay. Rich, you got to guess?
I'd say 50 million.
15?
50.
50? They burned $100 million
I was going to say that.
Wow.
I was going to
trying to
say
create a software like this, trying to promote it on socials, and it was so bad, so disorganized, and so much red tape that they wrote the whole thing off. They functionally couldn't do it because they are too big, they have too much money, they don't know
They're
the
too
game.
bloated. Yeah,
it.
and they're
There's
not
too many
Bloated.
nimble
people,
enough.
too many people sitting around having meetings all day long and doing nothing.
Yep.
Exactly. The
Yep.
meeting to get ready for the meeting to get ready for the meeting.
Yep.
And what the hell
And when
happened at
you're
the meeting?
remember when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And when
Yeah.
you got a ton of money and you're like, oh yeah, we'll spend this money, we'll figure it out. Like, no. Then there's us, who's on the ground, and people are like, oh, this is way better than what they had. I'm like, guess what? We didn't spend 100 million. They could have just given me the 100 million and it could have been a hell of a lot further along. But I think it's just a nice little reminder that I say to myself as like a first time founder who's doing this thing that just because someone's bigger or has more capital does not mean they know what they're doing.
Right.
Oh my God. Does not mean they're any better, does not mean they have some superiority in any way. And oftentimes people who are on the ground doing the work that are 10 times better. Um,
So
I mean,
one of
and
the
it's
interesting
because
you've seen it
things,
in healthcare. You've seen it in healthcare. Hospitals are taking over doctors' offices. They don't have their freedom. They're pressured to generate
yep.
income with tests and everything else, you know?
yeah, I was gonna say like
Mhm.
you even see that with like a ton of like different acquisitions. Like, I mean, think about like Google. Like,
Yeah.
I think like either last year or 2 years ago, they had acquired something like 300 little startups. Like, we're talking hundreds. And I mean, it's really more kind of like, hey, you want to call mom and pop, like the little small biz guy, you do all the hard work of creating something of value. We've got the, endless capital. So we'll just come in, swoop in, buy your product up once we know that, you've gone to market and it's like, it tests out or something like that.
Yeah.
And, I don't know how better to describe it other than it's just like, lazy
Yeah. I mean,
capitalism.
well, it's kind of like think about it like this. Like if for large companies, right, they move typically slower and they have a lot of capital to deploy. It's often they're like, look, we can save all the time and costs in trying to create this product from scratch, which technically anyone could do. Right? Google could build anything if they wanted to. They could. If the entire organization was focused on one goal and they allocated capital responsibly, and if they knew the niche, which they don't do. It's much faster and easier for them to say, oh, you have a working software, a working piece of tool, or working piece of technology that's already done kind of right there, and I can just give you a certain amount of money and then it's mine. Great, I'll just do that. It's way faster and easier for them to just buy a solution than build their own, right? Like I could build myself a shovel. I could go chop down a tree and smelt some metal and build a shovel, or go to Home Depot and buy one.
Well, that's what franchises are all about.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what a franchise is. It's
I'll
same
buy a
same same
Chick-fil-A,
fun.
and I'm not going to open up my own chicken place. I'm going to buy a brand name.
Do you
Or
know
Exactly.
McDonald's.
the revision from that they is a company or art plus com from Berlin that they said that they're the ones that created Google Earth.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a series in Netflix about it, a documentary.
Interesting. I might go look that up
Yeah, it was
because yeah,
quite
I mean like I will look that up because like especially if you're think about it, if you're a company that operates in hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in revenues and cash and things like that, and you're like, hey, what can you buy this company for 25 million, 50 million? Yeah, sure, okay, done, take it. And they'd rather because also these guys are just if you're a large tech company, you could be paying your workers hundreds of thousands, maybe even close to $1 million a year for depending on the skill of the income. They're like, wow, am I gonna have 20 people build this for the next 2 years? Okay, that's gonna cost me 20 million right there. Or I could just pay that 20 million to this guy and get it right now. Right? This is like
Mhm.
the math typically works out in either time or speed, right? So we're a small team. I think part of the reason that we've gotten here is that we've just been consistent and falling on our faces and getting back up and getting a little bit further and faster every time. Um, just being consistent, but there's
And you're
still
looking
a
to
long
grow.
way to
You're
go.
looking to change. You're looking to make it better. Some companies
Yeah,
just stop.
yeah, yeah. That's just not how I'm hardwired. I got a vision for what BI will be eventually. Um, but it just takes a day at a time, and having a team that's constantly in it and doing sessions like this with you guys. You get to tell me, Donato, this isn't working. I go, okay. Or Donato, this is great. Don't change it. I go, okay. And all that kind of stuff, right? It's exceptionally valuable. In fact, when I told when I told those VCs, they're like, yeah, I got people that meet 10, 20 people twice a week to just come and tell me what's going on. They're like, what? You have people, what? You listen to your customers? What? You guys have meetings? Oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah. What do you guys do? Yeah. Um, they were flabbergasted.
Yeah, the one thing about especially having you know, using other people's money is like depending on if there's any strings attached, basically, as far as how much control that they'll have, like, you know, with the example that Richard brought up about the hospitals and the doctors, like they basically control those doctors' time. So it's, you know, great to be able to be in like a position, unless it's one of those, you know, no strings attached, which of course is going to be rare. But again, you have that full control of how and where Bright Investor is going to go. So I personally am like, yeah, you know, definitely, you know, like the direction it's going. And, you know, again, speaking with dollars, you know, so to speak, in terms of, you know, putting money where your mouth is, being a, you know, paid, being on the paid subscriptions, you know, the annual one, of course, but like that's really showing like, hey, I believe in what you're doing so much that I'm willing to, even though it is on the subscription side, but definitely would be willing to also say, you know, to invest from a user standpoint. So
No,
yeah,
thanks,
definitely
man.
believe it.
I appreciate that.
And eventually, Donato, as you get bigger, you're going to need other people to train
Yeah,
other people. You know, it depends how big it gets. You know, you can't do it all yourself either. Eventually,
this is
yeah.
true. My calendar this week. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. The oh my gosh. Yeah, I think I'm at 60 to 65 meetings now this week.
Do you
Um,
know? Do you know of John Warlow and Michael Gerber? Their books, Built to Sell and the E-Myth.
I'm familiar with the
And
E-Myth.
E-Myth
Yeah,
Revisited too. There's a E-Myth Revisited is the updated one.
Yeah, and the
I'll have to go
E-Myth
check.
Revisited.
Yeah.
And John Warlow's Built to Sell. It's basically slightly different shift, but yeah, it's basically saying, you know, don't create a business where it's now a new job for you. The whole
Yeah,
point of it is you're creating something where you don't need to be a part of it.
Right.
yep,
Plug and play. Yep.
Yes.
yeah. That's where we're going. There's we hired some people recently, and we're gonna keep I think we've got 9 people now, 8 or 9, and there are a couple roles that we'll keep hiring for eventually as we get big enough. Um, yeah, eventually I won't be doing I know I kind of I want to keep doing the office hours. I don't think I'll stop that.
Yeah,
I like it.
I think things like this is, you know, sort of that if you want to call it secret sauce or whatever, you know,
Yeah,
having these, you know, if you want to, you know, say like, you know, quote unquote boots on the ground, but like, you
yep,
know, the feedback that we're providing, this is that level of, you know, gold, if you want to call it, of the the feedback that keeps Bright Investor nimble. Because as we're
yep,
saying, hey, I'm seeing X, Y, and Z, da 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 da. Is there a way that we can add such and such feature, or can we update or tweak this, that, and the third, and then start to see those uh, implementations, especially over time. And so as we see those, you know, iterations, and again, it may not be, you know, this week or next week, but as we see them over time, that user experience is what's really starting to build out so that, you know, for future people who come in and look at Bright Investor, they go, oh, wow, this thing is like absolutely amazing. Like people have
yeah,
clearly thought this thing all the way through. And, you
yeah,
know, again, and so I would say, yeah, definitely, you know, even as you do hire and, you know, build Bright Investor out, these types of not necessarily one-on-one, but kind of fireside chats almost. These I
yep,
Like a
would say are kind
mastermind.
of like that goal. Yeah,
Yeah.
mastermind. Yeah.
Like a mastermind. And Chester, I'm saying it
Hey,
wow now. I'm pretty new to this thing.
Yeah,
You have user
Yeah.
testing, constant user testing, so your stories can always be changing.
Yep,
yeah,
And you
absolutely.
can change it fairly quickly, unlike other companies, they, take
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, like okay, oh, we'll do that next year. It's like, wait,
Yeah.
no, let's
Yeah.
let's talk.
Yeah, we'll
Let's
do it next year.
yeah, well, I've had so many. I've tried to work with some big companies before who are like that. Okay, actually, guys, I am about 10 minutes late to my next meeting.
Oh,
Yes, it is.
okay.
It is 9 o'clock. I do have one more meeting tonight. Fun.
Okay.
But I want to say thanks, guys,
Oh,
for hanging out with me, and I will see you all next Wednesday at our next office hours. But I appreciate you guys, all the feedback, all that, just kind of hanging out, and we'll talk soon.
cool.
Thank
Great.
you.
alrighty,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Have a happy Easter, everybody, and
Happy
Passover
Easter.
to celebrate.
Yes, happy Easter, everybody.